Why, hello everybody. I am Braden, also known as TheMusicalFro. You can see me on Twitch and the YouTube.
Oh, my turn. Okay, I'm Tim. I'm like Bill Murray in that I'm kind of off the grid socially on social networks, but I'm a longtime lurker on Reddit. Probably CaptainTim 25. Take it away.
Alright, my name is AJ. I'm from Wet Blanket on TikTok, and my favorite Seinfeld character is Kramer. Whoa, whoa. You know, I'm the guy that just kind of like, all the time, I'm coming over to a friend's house, that's me in the door, you know what I'm saying? That's what I do. So, and I'll ask them about underwear and stuff.
So I don't super well remember Seinfeld.
Because the soup Nazi? You don't remember the soup Nazi?
No soup for you.
No soup for you.
I remember bits and pieces. Because I didn't watch it older. I watched it when it was actually playing on TV when I was...
Oh, yeah.
It still airs.
Now, one thing I used to love as a kid was Hello, Raymond. Everybody
Loves Raymond?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good show.
I like Everyone Hates Chris more than Everybody Loves Raymond.
That was a good one.
That was two different spectrums.
That is my introduction to Terry Crews outside of White Chicks.
Dude, White Chicks was great.
Be careful, White Chocolate.
Dude, I can smell the chicken. My stomach is...
in the other room?
Rumbling.
Be careful,
you don't
White
smell
Chocolate. No, I smell it.
No.
Oh, I thought you were like, I don't remember that in the movie.
I remember the be careful white chocolate with your belt. Oh man, that's a really funny movie. I like White Chicks. I saw it for the first time because I kept being told about it and I saw all these clips. My mom would talk about it. I had a friend's mom that was trying to introduce me to it, also SNL and stuff. But when I first watched it, I didn't know Terry Crews was just gonna beat this character.
Yeah.
I've seen him in the memes and
He's
stuff.
so good.
And I need you.
And he's just eating it up. And it's like, man.
If you like even that, like Idiocracy, when he plays the president.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that.
I don't remember it well, but that's where Crocs came from. That's where Crocs got famous.
No, really?
So that was the shoes they did because they were just starting up and they were like, we need something that looks absolutely stupid that no one will actually ever wear.
And Crocs.
And it was Crocs.
Crocs are comfortable, bro.
Crocs are great. That's
Crocs. I want the Minecraft Crocs, bro. I really almost did.
The Minecraft Crocs?
See, this was a limited run.
So there were some people who did Loki Croc.
Loki?
Yeah.
Loki. Like Loki or Loki?
No, Loki from Marvel.
Yeah, that's what.
And they were just like, well, according to the multiverse, technically, if you have a pair of Loki Crocs, then there's already the alligator Loki. So Croc Loki.
Croc Loki. Okay, so here's the thing about Marvel. I think, and this may be a bad opinion, this is my opinion, they should have ended it in game. Or waited a long time.
Yes and no. So my thing was,
stop watching.
I stopped watching it.
So my view of it was,
your choice.
They had so much story left.
Though. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah, same.
I never said it was bad. I just don't like because
that's your opinion.
I don't think it's great anymore. They have a while to build up. They tried to jump the shark a little too quick. I don't think they should have started the multiverse yet. I think the multiverse was them adding the thing of we want to take the easy route. I feel like starting the multiverse this early was lazy.
Yeah.
No, it was established though in Loki. I really think that the multiverse didn't really exist until
so it was good, but
Loki broke it and created the multiverse kind of in a way.
My thing is that they could have gone. They had so much route left to do. They had so much story. They had so many villains. You have time, space, and matter. You have the Celestials. You have who's the World Eater? Galactus?
Yeah, Galactus is cool.
He hasn't shown up yet, but they've
hinted at him.
Yeah, well now, so the reason that he couldn't show up yet, well I guess he kind of could, but it would be as good. The reason that they've probably been holding off on it is because he is he has heralds in the comics. And the most famous one is the Silver Surfer, which is involved in the Fantastic Four, which was owned up until recently by Fox. I guess it still kind of is, but now Fox is owned by Disney and Disney owns Marvel, whatever, yada yada yada.
Because they said they're coming out with another Fantastic Four. I'm excited. So for me growing up,
and it's not going to be Fant Four Stick.
What's it? Mr. Fantastic is the Elastic guy,
right?
That's the he was always my favorite because he's super smart. He's like, I don't know if y'all know about that.
Mm-hmm. He's one of the smartest people.
Yeah, Reed Richards. And I didn't watch all the way through that new Doctor Strange movie. I watched up until the point where Reed Richards dies, but I was like, that's so cool. It's Krasinski and he's
I
dead.
thought he was. Yeah, I thought he was
Well,
great
it's different
in another
dimensions.
multiverse.
It's like what?
And that's why I feel like the
something.
multiverse thing
Is that 616?
is an issue because now they can just kill off whoever they want. Then they can always pull another Tony Stark from the exact same storyline but in a different universe. So if he comes back, it's kind of just. It's now whenever they kill people, it's not as big a
meaningful.
deal.
It's not as meaningful.
That's why it's like do all your story, run your route, and once you've gone to a corner that you feel like there's nothing else to do, then let's open up the multiverse. Or hint at it a lot longer instead of busting it right open as soon as Endgame's
Spider-Man
done.
happened too. Remember?
Yeah, because they had the second one and they hinted at
the dimensions because they were saying, "Oh, this one's from this dimension," and they split in ours. That was a great idea. I like what they did there.
And then it was a lie. So I was like,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Oh, they're not going that route yet. And then immediately
did.
Loki started it.
No,
So-
but what we were talking about Galactus, about how he couldn't. Yeah, so is the Silver Surfer would have been the one who he's the herald of Galactus, and he brought it, and the rights to that was still part of Fox, so they couldn't bring it in. I think now they're able to do it. They're just trying to figure out the right way to do it. I think Deadpool 3 is bring it together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because,
I really love it.
because
Man.
Fox was owned by Deadpool's X-Men, right?
Yeah.
So, because I know he has the X-Force, and he picks on the X-Men, he picks on Marvel, he killed the Marvel Universe.
So Deadpool 3 officially, I believe, is going to be the first tie-in from the
MCU.
Fox Marvel stuff into the MCU, and it's going to be the first MCU version of Deadpool.
Now they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And you know
They
he's
have
going to break the
everything.
fourth wall. Now, She-Hulk has already kind of done that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch She-Hulk, I don't know
So
if you
That
watched
was
it.
alright. I thought it was alright.
Deadpool
It
did
was
it,
funny.
but he didn't go all out to where he was
I loved it, though. I thought
where
it
he
so
was
good.
stepping out of the movie yet.
I know a lot of people
That
didn't
level
like
of
it.
stuff.
I kind of
love-
want that.
I love Deadpool
want
1
that
and 2.
bad.
And then She-Hulk was the one where it went full on. She goes and she talks to the enemy.
No, she like broke the fourth wall, broke it.
She
like,
completely
shattered
walked out, went to the
Like, she
studios,
went
and
through
she's
the
like, "I'm
app.
coming for y'all."
So,
She DoorDashed in there.
Yeah.
DoorDashed in there. So,
I thought
really,
it was so funny, and Kevin was like a robot.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when I watch these, what do we call them? Because now they're shows, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy them from a different. I always go in with an open mind. That's my thing. And She-Hulk, I found it just really funny, and I lost a bunch of the story because I just thought it was funny. Like she was just saying funny stuff, and then Bruce Banner was training her, and he pushed her off the edge, and she flipped him off. Like I just find that shit really funny.
Yeah.
But because it's funny, I feel like it takes away from some of the stuff. I think Tony Stark's quirkiness was funny. That was him. He was the playboy.
But he was the
It's
one that he
so-
didn't care for. That's why I like Tony Stark's story so much because he
Yeah.
he's the a-hole, he's entitled, he's a rich kid, intelligent, but he's able to do whatever he wants. He's the bad.
But what's translating here that I think might be, I think you're talking about an overarching tone that's
A comedy.
shifting between shows, but these are based on comics that all had different tones.
yeah.
So if it's not for you, I mean, that's because the comic had a certain tone that
'Cause-
maybe is different.
Yeah, because
But-
I like the comics. I read the comics. Well, I
Yeah.
haven't in a long time,
That's-
but when I was younger, all these different comics had these different settings. Like I had my Deadpool comic. He was sitting there talking to the audience. I even have one that's drawn by a child, literally. Like that was the
Yeah.
thing. You know what I'm talking about?
I
Where,
think
like,
I know what you're
it
talking
was
about.
like a few times they did it. Some child drew with
They
like
did
the
like
color
an
or
episode
crayon.
of Dexter's Lab like that. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure. Back in the
and-
day, I have vague memories of that.
Like Deadpool, that was my first introduction to Deadpool. Like the Juggernaut shows up and he gets ripped in half. He's like, man, this sucks. Why am I drawing like this? Like just halfway through it. And I just love it, that kind of stuff. But all these different, because I also have the Batman Who Laughed, right? Completely different tone. And I feel like if they were to take, or even something like I have the Black Panther reissue. You know, it's a very, what do we call this? Not nostalgic, but comfortable. I'd call it like to read something like that because it's so they reach out to you almost when you're explaining these things. They want you to feel a part of the universe, so it makes you feel comfortable whenever you're escaping into this universe. But there's nothing funny. You know what I mean? Now it was okay. I loved Black Panther, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the second one to be honest with you. Like I said, I've been busy. I've been missing out on a lot of it. But the first one, them bringing in like what are those? You know, at the time was hysterical and that kind of stuff. But they didn't have a lot of funny.
That kind of stuff might not age well.
Oh
Yeah,
no, it's not going
that's,
to.
That's why, like, You should.
It was funny
unless
at the
it's
time,
gonna be
but-
something like She-Hulk or Deadpool.
Yeah.
Keep out the current time jokes,
Yeah.
That-
meme stuff,
I
because
think I
meme
will
culture
critique
changes
it that
so
way, but
quickly.
yeah.
But Chadwick was an amazing Black Panther. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't believe how well it was done.
I'm glad that they didn't like recast. I think that.
Yeah,
I
no,
still
that
haven't
was the
seen the
best
second
they could
one.
have done.
Oh, sorry. Well, and you knew that.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't.
but that's a good topic of they didn't AI him in.
Oh yeah, we were
Oh
talking about that.
yeah, here we go.
Earlier. Yeah. Good,
So-
good segue.
Segueing right in.
So if you mind, can we
Little
open up that thing you were
transition
talking
here.
about earlier? You said the guy with Scooby Doo.
So yeah, so there was a guy that did a Five Nights at Freddy's crossover with Scooby Doo, and he did it in the style of Rankin Bass. It looks just like Rankin Bass. So
Yeah.
Rankin Bass was, what's it called?
Claymation.
Stop motion.
Stop motion with a felt.
Is it stop motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
stop
So it
motion.
was stop motion with all the little felt characters, and
Like Rudolph.
it looks. He has it just in the right FPS where it's moving just choppy enough to where it looks like that style. But you also have all the Scooby-Doo gags. All the voices are fantastic, and that's where some people came in on good old Twitter, and then kept fussing at him and writing him because he used AI.
But it was made by one guy, right?
Yeah.
Just one guy that did this by himself.
He did the whole thing. So he modeled them. He made the animation. I don't remember if he brought in a voice or two to do it, and then the AI covered it up and made it look kind of like it would have been a deep fake or whatever. But people lost their minds about it.
Well, if it's one guy, like any developer,
He's also not making.
that either. Yeah, I didn't think he would do that because I think Scooby Doo's copy. Right? Is that?
Oh yeah.
So he and then Smash. And
You know,
then-
it was better than
copyright.
that Doma series.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean.
Okay,
the
so I
bar's low
tried to
there.
watch it.
Dude, I tried. It was so there's
Yeah.
two animations of recent that I wanted to like. Anything Scooby Doo, I go and I watch,
Mhm.
and I like it usually. The Velma one, they just
I'm not gonna
Someone was
critique that
trying.
show because I didn't actually watch it, but
I watched one.
I've seen little bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, ugh.
it's just cringe.
Man, and
That's it. It's just cringe.
As a big Office fan, I know Mindy Kaling is like behind that show.
She's a
and-
funny person.
She is funny.
She's the one that was doing the detox, right? In the office, like with the lemon and
Oh,
the
yeah.
syrup, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
just passed
She
out
ate-
in one episode. Yeah.
She ate a tapeworm that Creed gave her.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
then
that wasn't a tapeworm.
She was trying to lose weight, and then cause wasn't that her thing where she was always trying to better herself,
well,
but in a bad
No,
way?
she was doing like all the TikTok things, whatever the fad diet was.
Yeah, and she was doing lemon water and syrup or something like that, and that's all
No,
she was ingesting.
They
and she
were
just passed
they
out.
were trying to lose weight for a competition.
Oh,
at
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Office. That
It was.
the
I remember
episode.
that
I
because
don't
then
remember that one.
Yeah, so
someone gained weight. Someone gained weight. I think it was Kevin.
Every
It
time
was
I think-
Stanley. He lost 3 pounds.
Yeah.
Every time I think about it, the first thing that comes to my mind is just the
6 pounds,
bats.
whatever. Oh, the bat. Yeah.
The bat flying around the office, and then them in the barn with Dwight's brother.
But Dwight,
Lowe's.
I think
His
he's.
cousin.
I think him and what was Kristen's character?
You mean Jim?
Jim. That's what it
Jim.
was- I thought it was John. It's not John. But so
It's one of
Jim,
those basic
It's
names.
Jim, James, Jimothy.
because he had different names and stuff,
I mean,
and
I
every
call you
single
Jim.
time
You
he
may.
did something with Dwight, right? I think it's one of the best running jokes ever. Now, granted, I've never seen all The Office, but I can tell you right now, the running joke between him and Dwight, him messing with Dwight and Dwight trying to get him back, is one of the best running jokes.
Oh, one of my favorites is with the Altoids.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Or then when they bring the Asian guy in, that one Asian guy that's
it's the
kind of
comedian, the famous
gig.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
He's the gag guy in anything
That's
he's
John-
in, pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Even in Marvel.
whenever
'cause
he
he's a cop.
shows up in anything, I'm like, oh look, they got John Krasinski.
Because the Asian guy was in WandaVision.
Yeah, he
right?
was in
It's the same
WandaVision.
guy.
He's one of the
I'll look him up real quick.
FBI, upper level FBI type
And
people.
people were like
Yeah.
campaigning to get John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic
Mhm.
for a while, and I'm like, guys, you can't do that. He's
already
already in
in it.
WandaVision.
Let's see. Because he was so funny.
Mhm.
His name is.
He's like what Agent
'Cause he's
Art
in- he's
or something
in
like that, and they call
Ant-Man,
him something
too.
like that in the show. I don't
Shield
remember.
Agent. I think his name is Jimmy Woo. That may be his actual name.
Maybe so.
That's his character's name.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find who plays Agent. Randall Park.
Randall Park's his
That's
name.
why his
okay.
name was so
I knew.
familiar.
I remember Park.
he's a funny guy. He's hysterical.
Oh yeah.
But his characters are
It's
just
just a
gag
meme.
characters. Like they're meme characters all the time. He was like, "Hey Jim," and it wasn't Jim that sat down. He was sitting there trying to figure it out. Or even the my favorite
He
one
had
is
the picture
the
of
rap.
the family and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had everything
But the thing
done.
down to like the look that he gives the camera when like Dwight like looks at the frame and he's just like this isn't you, and he's just like
He plays it so well. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And like he starts bringing
I've
up
known you
stuff.
for years, and then he starts the call, and Dwight hangs up. He's like, "Come on, man, what are you doing?"
Dude, and then my favorite one of all time is when
no outsiders.
so it's the I think Jim raps or does something with Dwight's all his stuff. He raps it like in a Christmas rap, and then when Dwight goes to go sit down, he just falls over, and then the whole thing just folds in.
Under 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's my favorite one of all time, most definitely. 'Cause I remember, I think I watched that episode, and I was like, man, they're
You
just
just like
committed
the
to
cold
it.
opens, basically.
Pretty much anything that's just raw and then just Dwight falling over. I don't know.
I just like any time Michael is redeemed. He's
Michael's redeemed.
Well, the first season it was kind of a shot for shot remake of the British version
yeah.
of The Office, which is the original. Well, I say that the first episode was at least. The later episodes got, but I think Diversity Day was their redeeming episode. So, but anyway, the point is like the whole first season he was kind of written to be more akin to David Brent, who was Ricky Gervais's character in the British version.
Yeah.
And he was just a straight asshole. You know what I mean? Like for one, this is a good example of British humor versus American humor. British humor, they really like to the joke is there's shit people and shit things happen to them, and that's hilarious. Or like, haha, terrible things happen to me and my life sucks. That's funny. They want it. It's like funny to watch people fail. You know? Whereas like American humor, we're a little more optimistic. I think we want to see people succeed and do better in
We
their
very
lives.
much have the idea of we
You
want
know?
to see the character arc where they change, they
Yeah,
become
you
better.
want to see start out
You wanna
terrible
see
and become a
redemption.
good person. Like we were optimistic. We want to see that.
That's
so
the
if-
white
if
picket
it's-
fence of plot.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing to watch somebody just be awful and have awful things happen to them. But the big thing with Michael's character is they started sprinkling in little moments where he would kind of redeem himself. Like, and that's some. Oh man, I love listening to that kind of stuff or finding out like little things that the writers would do.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that show. But
It's also cool to go see all the moments that were just improv,
Yeah, there's tons of them.
where they'll just say, this is what they were supposed to do, and then this happened, and
You just kept it.
yeah,
it was
much
gold.
Most of Creed stuff. Oh man.
I love Steve Carell though. I think that it's maybe a little controversial. I like the vulgar Steve Carell. That's my favorite Steve Carell. Like 40-year-old version of Steve Carell.
Oh, yeah.
I love any
Favorite.
He's so good at being an idiot.
That's really what kept the Office there, by the way. Did you know that?
What?
Because like Steve Carell wasn't like as big of a star when they started filming The Office. They filmed the first season, and they didn't really officially get greenlit for a second season. But they were kind of in that in between. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And when the 40-year-old virgin came out, he became like an instant celebrity.
Seth Rogen was in that movie. Who else was in that movie? They had some famous actors in that movie.
Oh yeah, Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynn.
I don't remember it because I kind of watched it, kind of didn't pay attention to it, so I didn't sit down and watch.
I mean, it's a Judd Apatow, right?
It's a very chaotic film. Like it
I'm
kind
almost positive
of
it is.
drags
No,
itself
one of my
together.
favorites was Dinner for
Definitely
Schmucks.
Apatow-esque.
Dinner for Schmucks.
Oh, that's cool. But no, what cemented Steve Carell as a star was that movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. And when NBC saw it become a hit, well, did NBC and Universal, were they connected back then? I know they are now.
No, but I know that NBC had
Universal produced The 40-Year-Old Virgin at least.
Yeah.
So in any case, when they saw it became a hit, they were like, "Oh, we've got a guy on a TV show right now that has a successful movie out. We need to like keep that going.
Yeah.
Capitalize on this." And they renewed The Office, and they were like, didn't think they were going to get a second season. but that kind of was one of
saying
The
watch
first
that,
season for The Office was painful for me.
Yeah.
I
You
liked
just
it.
gotta power through it. There's a few.
Yeah.
There's a few shows like that where you just gotta power through the first season, and like
Yeah.
the second season on is like way better.
Me be honest with you.
But there's only like 6 episodes, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Breaking Bad was a show for me. For the
Really?
first season, it was really,
Really?
really painful for me
I
to
just
watch.
rewatched that. It was so
So-
good.
Well, for me, the longer it got, the harder it was to watch. Because it got to the point where it's just, let's watch Walt Whitman be an ass and screw everything up for himself. This is Walt Whitman screwing up on ice,
So Walter,
the musical.
his character development is really good because what is he originally doing this for? He's gonna die,
Mhm.
right? Because that's what I love. We went from The Office to Breaking Bad, but Breaking
Yeah,
Bad, right? So Walter White, he's gonna die. That's his mindset. And actually, I don't know if I knew this, but it was supposed to end on the first season. He was supposed to die, but it was doing so well with
I didn't know.
whoever was streaming it. I don't know who was doing it at the time.
AMC, maybe.
AMC probably.
Breaking Bad.
And it did so well they just made a second season. But he was making, methamphetamine with Jesse, who was this guy he used to teach. But he was making this money because he was going to die for his family.
Yeah.
So it was a redeeming quality. But as the show goes on, he kept doing it. And I think I can't tell at what point specifically, but I think it's whenever John Carlos' character comes in. Gus, whenever his character comes in, he gets greedy. Because what does John Carlos tell him? I'll give you $3 million. He's like, let me think about it. But he's like, hell yeah, I'll do that. And then he keeps going and going and going. He screws over Gus. Gus dies. And just it goes on and on and on. He spirals out of control. He leaves his family. Someone dies. I'm not going to tell you the very end of it. He just spirals.
Well, I watched all of it.
You did?
And I watched the movie
I just
afterward.
rewatched it. Like,
And
it's
I watched
fresh
the
on
movie
my mind.
afterward
Okay,
with,
okay.
when Jesse becomes the drug lord.
The El Camino or
El
whatever.
Camino, yeah.
I forgot what
I didn't watch that. I thought it was like a flashback, like kind of in between.
some of it is.
It's kind
'cause I know
of
that
going
Jane
back
comes
and
back,
then
right?
finishing.
his girlfriend when,
Jessica.
the point where
the girl with the dark hair, right?
yeah the beat
She
from Apartment
plays
23.
Super Jessica girl.
Yeah,
right?
Jessica Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really, when I rewatched the show, of course when I first watched it I felt the same way. Like I really think the moment Walter became a bad person when he let her die. Like I remember watching that
was
and just I got chills. I'm like,
That
oh,
was
fuck.
that
like
was
there was no dialogue in that scene and I saw everything on Bryan Cranston's face. It's like, holy fuck, that's
yeah.
so good.
It was when
But I mean,
it was when he was standing over it and he just let it happen. That was when I kind of was.
well, because he,
kinda done with
he
the series in
goes and then he
general.
hesitates and it's just like, wait, if I just let her die, all my problems will go away. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
Have you seen the thing behind that? The behind the scenes of that scene? Like Bryan Cranston cried his eyes out after doing that because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing, watching someone. He said especially because Bryan Cranston's older. I think he's 60 now. I think at the time he was about 45, 50 years old. He said that seeing someone young like her die to something, he was saying so specifically, it's acting. He admitted it's acting, whatever. But he said to step into a role like that and to watch someone so young die to something that can be prevented, because he puts himself in that scene. That's the whole point of acting. And I think her character was supposed to be like, what, mid-20s? Something like that.
Yeah.
And to see her die was really, really hard for him to just sit there and do. Like I said, he said he bawled his eyes out afterwards.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Because watching it, it was.
It's
she
hard.
was-
I looked away from
I remember
a
her
little bit.
being a shithead, but it was just like, you're still gonna let her die. Like, come on. And then
Yeah.
everything after that, he just gets worse and worse and worse.
Mm.
He
That
becomes
was-
he becomes his own villain. He's his
Well,
own.
He becomes
Thing is,
Heisenberg.
he's so logical if you watch it. Like I'm watching it and like trying to see his mistakes, but I really think the real nail in his coffin. I mean, aside from having no moral compass, like towards the end,
Yeah, he
he's
loses
He
it.
doesn't care. But like the real nail in his coffin is that he still does care about Jesse. in the end.
Yeah. Not even his
And I think
family.
That's
Because it's not even about his family.
Because
Yeah, it doesn't even
his
care about
cancer
that.
comes
Well,
out of
it does,
remission,
but-
right? And he's about to die anyway. And that's when he goes
Yeah.
save Jesse with the machine gun in the trunk.
Yeah.
Well,
and it shoots
it's.
him.
Everything's
It's
also crumbling
complicated.
around him anyway.
I mean, he's gonna go down, but it's gonna be on his terms. But also,
I love that idea, by the way.
he had to set his affairs in order and make sure his family was safe. But he owed it to Jesse to save him. You
Yeah.
know, I think he.
Because every time he screwed himself up,
But
he
those
always
people
pulled
stole his
Jesse
money.
into
He's
the
got to
screw
get
up.
what's his. You know, like at least if he can't get it, they can't have it.
That gave me chills, by the way. Whenever he saves Jesse, I don't think they even say anything to each other, right? Isn't that how it goes? They just look at each other? Just
I
looks
don't
at
remember the end. So you get kind of up to the season when the airplane, whatever, something involved with the airplane, because that's the girl's dad, and he tries to go back to work.
Consequences.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And then everything after that is a blur of just all of it mixed together until you get to that hillbilly house with the machine gun in the back.
Season 5 was hard for one. Like, because season 4, you know what happened to Giancarlo. He died, right? Because he pulled that show together. I'm not going to lie. Giancarlo, Gus Fring.
That, like, half skeleton man comes out and straightens his tie and then falls over.
And then after that happens, you know, they had to end it. They had to conclude it, you know? Because we knew what was happening to Walter White. He was out of remission. We knew he was going to die, like we said earlier. And it was kind of that last season, but the acting was so good. The acting was so good in that season. I'm going to be honest with you. Because someone like, who plays Walter White again? I keep forgetting his name. Bryan Cranston. He's a comedian. And to see him jump into a role like that.
He's always been Hal from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, or the guy from Seinfeld again, like the dentist.
He was in Seinfeld. You're right.
See, I don't remember Seinfeld.
About that.
Okay, so in Seinfeld he's the dentist.
Yeah.
And so
he just
that
wasn't scripted.
Yeah, that was another unscripted moment. So what he does is they have the anesthesia or whatever.
Yeah, you tell it.
And something was going on with Jerry. I can't remember the episode very well. It was kind of a blur. But that's the one thing that stuck out is he goes, "Is anesthesia on?" I don't know. And he goes, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Yeah." So it's on. And then he puts Jerry under. And then Jerry's like, "Oh shit," as he's going under because he just took a hit of anesthesia. It's so funny.
Apparently, no, I think Bryan Cranston said in an interview that it was not him who came up with it. It was like they were in between takes, and there was like one of the lighting technicians or something was like he was
just
talking with it, and he was like, "Hey, you know, it'd be funny if you like took a hit of it in the shot." And he was just like, "Dude, that's great,"
and it threw everyone off.
He used it.
Oh yeah, it's on.
Man, okay, so that's the thing though with Seinfeld is it's, in my opinion, it is so well written for like what is it called, sitcom, right? It is so well written because it's so raw. It's so raw. Everything that's coming out, like I said, Kramer's character. Have you seen the laundry episode? Where so not that I'm aware of. I mean, I need to go rewatch it.
I just feel like I remember them doing laundry a couple different occasions.
It was Kramer and Jerry. And Kramer was like, "Hey," you know, he's coming in, you know, and he's, "Why don't you do my laundry with your laundry? I'll pay you, blah, blah, blah." And then Jerry's like, "No, you can't mix my guys with your guys." And he's like, "They'll get into a riot."
They're gonna get cleaned either way.
Yeah, they're gonna get cleaned either way. But he goes to the whole plot of it is Jerry has like $2,000 in his pocket, and he thinks that the guy from the laundromat took it. So, in the most toxic way possible, him and Kramer go to the laundromat to wash clothes again, and they break one of the machines by pouring concrete into it. And Kramer
is a dick move. I don't remember that.
I would swear on my life. That's exactly how it went. And it's one of the best sequences because they know it's bad. So they make Kramer out just to be like a joke. So Kramer has this like, it has to be like an 80-bag pound of concrete. I've never seen a concrete bag this big, but he's sitting there holding it. He falls back and hits his head against one of the dryers. And he gets up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm good." And he has concrete all over him, like the powder. And then he falls and stumbles and pours all of it into a washer. It's one of the best episodes I've ever seen. But the whole point is, they break the machine, and then Jerry's looking through something at the end of the episode. Oh shit! He's got $2,000 in the drawer, and he's like, "Okay, let's go fix our problem." And he goes and does it because they think for a long time.
100%. If I put something in a spot so I don't lose it, I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will be looking for that thing, and then it won't be until months later where I just open up that drawer or I look under something. It's like, oh.
I think that dad. Is it dad humor, Seinfeld? Is that what that is? Is that considered dad humor? Is that just convenient, funny humor?
Jerry had his own. His thing was the kind of just in general silly.
What about Bubba?
Yeah,
it's observational.
What's the deal with airplane food? Yeah. I think him as a comedian might be controversial. I don't think he's that funny now.
No. I think he's kind of worn out.
I saw him actually perform at the Sanger Theater. Fine. I actually don't really remember a whole lot of like content off the top of my head, but I remember enjoying it.
Wait, he's a very.
But I like Bert Kreischer.
I don't like
Tom Segura.
He's fine.
Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
I love Jeff Dunham.
I'm not a puppet fan, but He's
Is that the
funny.
guy with the purple? The
He
purple,
has-
the
he
purple
has
puppet?
Yeah, with the green hair, the
terrorist
little
guy,
purple
Ahmed.
monkey looking dude,
Yeah.
and Ahmed the
yeah,
terrorist.
of course. Yeah, I'm not a puppet fan though.
I'm not either, but I have
Gross me
seen
out.
some clips here and there of him because when he messes up, he addresses it and then he rides off of it.
He plays
It's
it
really
off so
done.
well.
That's what I'm saying.
It's to the point where, because my family loved him, so we had all the DVDs. I got to go see him live, and I went watch him in the Superdome, packed Superdome.
He filled
And-
the Superdome.
Yes, and it
I'm
was.
definitely in the wrong camp here, but I just didn't. I never could get into it.
I
But he was hilarious.
because it's like Muppets.
I
Muppets.
just don't
is-
like it.
Go
It's
ahead.
weird. I don't know.
Because he did a little bit political stuff, but he does kind of both sides.
I don't
And-
think it's about puppets necessarily though for me, because I always like Sesame Streets. I like the Muppets.
Yeah.
I think it's the aesthetic of the puppets that he uses are like off-putting to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Big Mouth for that reason. I just don't like
I don't
the
like Big
animation
Mouth in
style.
general. I
I
tried
didn't think it
watching
was
it,
funny.
and it was just whoever the dude that does it, he's a comedian, the main voice actor for
Well,
Big
John
Mouth.
Mulaney and Nick Kroll both do it.
John
John
Mulaney's
Mulaney-
funny.
They're both comedians. I like.
John
I just
Mulaney,
don't
I
like
watched
the
him
animation
once,
style.
and now when I go back to watch him, it's like, it's okay.
His old stuff.
I find he sounds like a
don't-
Muppet.
Oh man, I think that was
Street
one of his
smarts.
jokes.
Here's the thing though about John Mulaney is like he was funny.
And we're
He
just-
was
Sorry, go ahead. You go
okay.
ahead.
So he got into drugs and he admitted it. He was like, but the thing was to cope with it, he kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. I kind of fell out of it, but it was funny for a while. I'm not gonna lie. Like he was talking about I think something. And he goes, he bounced back and forth off the stage, right? He'd go, blah, 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 blah. But specifically, I think his best is in the beginning, and then right as he got out of rehab, because granted, it was mostly about drugs. His rehab set.
Well,
I
you
think,
gotta talk about it. You gotta
yeah,
acknowledge
because they
it.
knew, people knew.
I
but,
think he,
Yep.
you know,
but he
Gotta-
made it so funny because like he has one about a why, and then so what he did was he had an accountant. He had an accountant because he had a lot of money, and what he did was he was going to buy a Rolex for his brother. It was not for his brother. He wanted to sell it for cocaine. So he
Well,
goes
you're-
on and
you're
on and
You're
on.
leaving out some parts. So he told his accountant not to let him have access to any of his money because he was
Yeah.
going to spend it on drugs. And so, unless there was like some extenuating circumstances, he wasn't supposed to have access to his money.
Yeah.
But he would. So after he made that decision, he was just like, "Shit, now I don't have any money to buy."
he had to
my
steal
fuck-"
money
And
from
he-
himself.
So he decided like, I have a credit card, so I can use a credit card to buy something expensive and then pawn it for cash. And then I can buy drugs. So he like bought a Rolex with his credit card so he could go pawn it to buy get cash. For buying.
And the funny is how deep it goes.
Yeah.
Because, what does your brother wear? Is he wearing any other kind of jewelry? This doesn't mix. And he goes, my brother doesn't have a hand. He's a no. And then he's like, and he goes on and on and on and on. And then eventually he goes to the pawn shop and he's like, wow. And he's opening, this is a gift box. And like, he's like talking to John Mulaney and stuff. It's so funny. And then, I think he like, I don't know if he told the guy. I think it was part of like the bit. But he yells, he's like, I'm trying to sell this for cocaine. Okay, and he's like, and then everyone just like laughs out loud. They laugh, but I think his setup, because it really happened. From what I'm aware, that's the whole point of the joke is it really happened. But he just kind of kept going and going and going and going, and then it kind of like wore out.
I liked that special. That was good.
Oh yeah, it was a good
I didn't see
special.
that.
No, it was a combination of the content was hilarious, but also I really wanted to know what happened. So I was like,
Yeah,
it was both good comedy and also really good storytelling, and I really wanted to know the outcome. And I was just like, yeah, all right, now I'm up to
He's
speed.
So
great with
I
the
watched
audience.
when he was in Radio City or whatever it was, the one where
Oh, yeah.
the intros with the big organ and everything.
Yeah,
Street
Yeah.
Smarts.
yeah.
Street Smarts. That's a good one.
That one, I liked it. You know, just as I watched it more, I was like, I think it was because I tried to watch it with my parents and they just completely didn't get it.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
But it was something about when he got to the point of a rockin' twink.
yeah, I know. I would not watch that.
That's
with
whenever my parents were both just like,
I
like-
what now? Like
my sister was just like, maybe we should watch something else.
My favorite one is New in Town.
New in Town.
Yes.
That's a good.
So, picking up where we left off, They finish out with John Mulaney.
Mhm.
We can call this one the ADD one.
Yeah, this is the ADD
The
episode all
ADHD
day.
episode.
I'm like, we
Yeah.
have no script. We're just talking right now.
So John Mulaney's audience interactions really well. Like I think in his drug special, if you want to call it that, he points out a kid in the crowd. He's like, "Hey, how old are you?" And he sees this kid like way off, like in the thing.
Oh yeah.
And the kid's like, 50. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, mom and dad." And he goes on and on and on. And he just,
they had to know.
yeah, I think they knew something was
come
coming
on.
on. But
That's like whenever shoot, what was it? When families went to Book of Mormon, thinking that this was gonna be like some VeggieTales junk.
Did any Mormons go to the Book of Mormon thinking
See,
it was going to be Mormon related?
I don't know, but I went in Chicago
I
when
kinda
it was
wanna know.
there. So our Wind Symphony was touring. Went to Chicago Symphony Orchestra Hall in Chicago. No, it's Orchestra Hall in Chicago, and we played there. There was a big festival that we went to. Afterward, we had several days where we just hung around Chicago doing whatever. Book of Mormon was touring, and they gave us huge discounts on the tickets because we showed up as the show was starting. And so it was literally just like, we got these seats for like $50 if you want. So I was like, I have that money. And so we went watch it, and you have, I would say, a solid quarter of the audience walked out within the first 20 to 30 minutes. Yes.
if you
Yes.
mind me asking, I'm not
And-
too familiar with the Book of Mormon.
Oh,
So,
you wanna lay it
it's
down?
the creators
It's
of
the
South Park.
South Park.
Oh yeah, wait, I know what it is. Okay, so I'm so sorry because I was trying to put it together, but it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah.
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 They make. It's making fun of Book of Mormon. Tons
So,
of good songs, and
The Mormon
original
episodes of South
cast
Park were kind of like, like it was,
precursors.
Yeah, precursors to the Book of Mormon. Think of it, they extrapolate on that, and
Yeah.
it becomes.
But it's an entire musical, and it's just South Park humor focused on Mormonism. It's some of the most funny shit I've ever seen on a stage. Now, the only thing I think is funnier is something happened on the way to a forum. That's I forget what his name is.
Mel Brooks,
No, not
Right?
Mel Brooks.
isn't it? Oh.
There's a
What
guy.
am I thinking?
There's a guy that's known for making hilarious, some of the best musicals. Remember his name? Hold on, I have to look it up.
God, Trey Parker, they're really funny. I think they're Canadian and they make fun of Canadians.
So when
right?
I was a kid, I remember there being a poster outside of our local Blockbuster, and I, for years, did not know what the movie was. And suddenly I figured out it was Basketball. And it was like Matt Stone and Trey Parker, and they had these giant basketball-sized baseballs. They were like holding them
yeah,
like in front of them suggestively.
yeah.
And I just remember like I don't know if I could read yet or something. I just remember seeing like the poster for it and being
Mhm.
like, huh,
That's funny.
that's like their balls.
That's
And
that's definitely humor.
I couldn't watch it because I was a little kid and my parents wouldn't let me watch stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
that was definitely their humor. The
yeah.
South Park humor. It's crazy though because
Oh, Stephen Sondheim.
Stephen Sondheim.
Sondheim.
That's a familiar name.
So he does fantastic musicals.
Mhm.
I don't remember if he was Into the Woods. Man, I don't know. So yes, Book of Mormon is something if you
Only thing about Into
Can't
the
go see
Woods
it.
I remember is like Chris Pine going like agony.
agony
I love that part.
that can cut like a knife.
And I'm just like that's gonna be.
They're
a
just
gif
trying to
on my phone
outplay each
First
other who
musicals,
has
bro.
the worst life.
Yeah.
Wicked's coming to New Orleans. So I plan on
Wicked?
going to see that. Yep, that's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I read that book and I was so tired of seeing. There's one point they have a sex scene with the witch and they describe all her green crevasses and nether regions.
Someone wanted to go see that, man. I don't know who it was, but someone wanted to see it, and I was like,
So they did Wicked. The book is completely different than the musical because everything that they kind of suggest and hint at in the book is the main story of the musical. So that's not all the stuff that kind of suggested the lion. So the witch is responsible for all of Dorothy's side characters. She
So-
ends up creating all of them.
I never read the book. I only watched the 1939 Judy Garland film
Me too.
and that whatever James Franco movie that was terrible.
Oz.
See, I kind of like that
Ah,
one
Great and
though.
Powerful. Yeah.
The great. Oz the Great and
Is that James
Powerful.
Franco?
That was James Franco.
Man, I didn't even know that.
He
We'll
was
have to
he
talk
was
about
good
that.
in a not idiot
Um,
role.
I mean,
Yeah.
Same thing
I'm
with
not
Amazing
talking about
Spider-Man.
him. I just didn't enjoy the movie. But the I've always wanted to watch the show Oz that came on HBO, but I don't really know if that connects at all.
Me neither. It's just it's a
Maybe.
name. You know,
Yeah,
Oz.
I
It
think
could
it's
be
like
anything.
loosely. Anyway, no, but I never read the books. But I always wondered, so there's like Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, right? And then there's like the Wicked Witch of the West, like the bad witch. Her sister, who she was close with, was Wicked Witch of the East, that the house dropped. So if my math checks out, the Witch of the West was evil. The Witch of the East, if she was friends with the Witch of the West, must also have been evil, right? And if Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, then if the analogy is correct, then maybe there's a Good Witch of the South. And
Bro,
I
you're
want to
gonna
know
have
who
this-
she is.
You're gonna have this
Is she
coon
like,
ass.
yeah, right? Like, there's gotta be. She's gotta be like coming in on like a carriage pulled by some like, friendly alligators or something. Maybe it's a fan boat. I don't know.
Just coming in on a trawl boat.
Yeah.
On that rope.
Y'all want some shrimp?
I mean, she's cooking up some good jambalaya.
Oh yeah, she's gonna have the best food out of all of them. But
I mean, she's cooking up something good.
May Shy Lord, let me tell y'all, it was a rough trip up here. Not nearly as hot, but damn. I never seen
Man.
Hill so big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I never seen hills that big. I can put it in my head and it's awful.
You know what I mean? Louisiana's so flat. The biggest hills you got is Ain't Piles.
For real.
And that's
really
even raising
big.
elevation.
Raising elevation. Man, that's why we get flooded so bad.
Oh, yeah.
The flooding.
And we're one big bowl.
Did you
It's a delta.
a delta?
All that
That's
still.
just sorry that picture of the witches in my mind of the south.
Well, yeah.
Just a
Anyway,
little
I
toast
just
for
always
them.
wondered, like, there's got to be like a good witch of the South, and I want to know what
About the
that would
North?
look like. Is that in the books?
They
Do
never-
they explain?
From what I understand, the whole book was this big analogy for the rich and the poor, and then the Wicked Witch of the West and the East were the businesses.
I didn't know that.
Something like that.
Mhm.
I can't go off on it because it's been a long time since I read it, and since I read the
Apple
what
trees
everything,
are dick. That's
especially whenever the munchkins are
where
hanging
sour
themselves in the
apples
trees.
come from. Yeah.
So that whole thing was a whole that was one of those non-traversies because it was just this super blurry image that they kind of thought looked like it. So then people online went and edited it where it looked more prominent. And then that was the image that spread around. So that's why you get that big old thing of, oh, well, they had a munchkin hanging himself in the back.
What
No.
was it though? I remember that.
It was
meeting.
just a prop that wasn't
It just wasn't. It was
looking right.
that won't show up.
People who were on the setup said it wasn't anything.
Fella,
How did we get on there?
I know.
This topic.
This was the ADD round.
We are talking about like dead munchkins hanging in the Wizard of Oz.
And you
Like-
know, just like that Munchkin's life, I think this is the perfect spot to end.
Yes.
But I love James Franco. I didn't know he played Oz.
Yeah.
I think he just plays
Well,
so many dumb characters. That's the
just-
problem.
You're so used to seeing him paired up with Seth Rogen now, because I think this is the
Yeah.
only business he's gonna get now.
Yeah.
Because kind of once you enter that group with Seth Rogen, I think that's kind of
Usually it's funny though. It's hilarious. Usually.
I don't know. James Franco's gotten weird lately. I can't really.
I haven't seen his new stuff. Not like that.
No, I haven't seen anything he's in. The last thing I saw him in was Sausage Party and The Interview.
The interview
Well-
was. I didn't like Sausage Party. They're making a second one, by the way. The other one was so bad that it was good, and it became a cult classic. They're making.
I watched it.
I didn't like it.
It's not that funny. They try so hard.
To be
It's like,
vulgar.
eh.
Vulgarity can only be vulgar for so long until you.
See, I like it when it's subtle. When you go out of your way to make those adult jokes, but make sure that it's in a way that you have to have a couple brain cells throw up together to be able to get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just passes over your head.
Here's a question for you about comedy today. Do you think that we can make successful comedies that feel like comedies from like the 2000s, 2010s anymore? Because if you go back and watch those, there's a lot of funny jokes that you just could not make now. And maybe they're not funny.
In a
maybe they're
time,
kind
in
of.
a place when people didn't care what nobodies on Twitter
Like,
said
if
is what I feel like it's
we're too
more
afraid of offending people now, so I'm worried
Yeah.
about.
because Mel Brooks, I think Mel Brooks is one of the greatest comedy filmmakers of all time, and he won't be beat.
You couldn't
Because
watch,
you look
couldn't make Blazing Saddles today.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely
not.
There was a long running joke about Blazing Saddles being played on TV, and it was going to be
like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it was going to be 8 minutes long.
8 minutes long.
Due to them cutting out all the offensive stuff, it
It's
was
just
only
going to be
8
like
minutes.
the scene of the cowboys with the bees.
The entrance,
Just
and then the credits.
Just
It's just that. That's
a couple
the only
spots
scene.
where you see Willy Wonka guy,
Gene Wilder.
Gene
Yeah,
Wilder,
yeah.
and then roll credits.
Well, that's the thing, because I think this South
Hey,
Park
boys.
it was just offensive. South Park was just offensive, and if you didn't like it, you didn't watch it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I know
And
some
they
people
always
that
said-
went to the
Well,
theater
the
and walked out.
disclaimer at the beginning is just like, hey,
You can't
this
sue
is-
us.
This is a parody. Like, this is going
And
to
the
be
thing
a
is,
poorly...
people are too scared to try to do a parody, and then when people do when people do make a parody nowadays, you have things like the Starving Games, which had a couple funny things in it. I watched it again recently because I remember watching it, and I know it was filmed in Hammond.
Did you
Was
intentionally
it?
bring that up? Because you know...
Because I know you know, but I actually rewatched it recently, and the problem was you have some good gags in there, but the problem is they don't know comedy timing, they don't know things that are just relevant. Some things they made were just not relevant anymore, so it's I can't blame them
I'm
for
sure
that. It was funny at the time.
I mean, so that movie was made by like maybe like one person that was involved in the Scary Movie franchise, and that was like their big claim to fame. But the films, there were a number of kind of spin-off movies after the Scary Movie franchise, but they're they're just like topical parodies of which they don't really do parodies. I think that should also be something to try to bring back. I don't know how you would, but make it anyway. When I was living in Hammond, I was working at a hotel, and they actually were filming the Starving Games in Hammond. And I don't know if you knew this. I know he knows this. That's why. Excuse me, but they had the cast and crew for that movie stay at my hotel, and I got to know them over like a good month. And I was like, yeah, I know all these kind of famous people. And got over like a month, they stayed at my hotel, and then they left. And I was like, man, I can't wait to see that movie. And it finally came out. I went and watched it on like Netflix or something.
Yeah,
and
that's right. I watched
could
it.
not finish it. I was like, I feel so
felt
bad.
I watched
for it.
about half of it the last time I watched it, and the problem is you're going through it, and there's some things that like right at the beginning, he's like, here's a loaf of moldy bread, and then she bites it and all her teeth break, and there's just blood everywhere. What?
It's not
like it's prank bread, and then immediately back into serious.
It's not poorly made. Like the lighting's great. The direction. It's not.
It's the writing.
It's the writing. I like
The writing is really
the
bad.
acting's fine for what it is. It's just the content is not there.
Because you look at things like, there was this stage play called Snow Sort of White, I think it was, and all it was, so it turned into almost a mockumentary before The Office and everything was made. But you have the narrator, and then you have all these characters, and then they break the fourth wall constantly. So it's like, why would I want to do that? Why would I do that? Or whatever. And then you have the ugly stepsisters get involved, and it pulls in some other characters that don't exist in Snow White, but they're there for the extra comedy. You have the ugly stepsisters that are there, and they're constantly nagging at the narrator because he keeps calling the ugly stepsisters, things like that. And it's funny. The writing is good. The timing is good. I can't find it anymore, so I don't know if it was this one-off little thing that somebody made that never got really popular, but I never saw or heard about it again. But it's funny. Arsenic and Old Lace.
Yeah.
Anything Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks, it's just good timing. Sometimes the jokes don't fall that great, but they pass on. They move right away. They don't sit on this one joke and they're just like, are you laughing yet? No. Again.
Are you laughing?
Again.
Well,
Again.
I think he said though, like he wanted his whole strategy was make so many jokes that some of it will stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't all have to land.
Because some of them, there's a jam in the radar, and they pull out, it's boysenberry. on Goofballs, and then immediately after.
Like word humor.
But the thing was,
Yeah.
it was all just silly stuff that if you can't enjoy
Wordplay.
acting it out, that was the thing too, is that the people he had doing it, they had fun doing it, and he's apparently a great guy to be around too.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a good sense of humor, and when he's writing all this stuff like major asshole, and he's just like, I'm asshole, sir, and he's like, and I'm his cousin, I'm also asshole, and he's like, I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yeah. I didn't remember that. That was.
It's just all these jokes are funny, and then History of the World Part 1.
I just got that movie.
Watch it. It's also another funny one. Moses comes down from the. He's like, in the beginning, Moses went to God on the mountain, and then he comes back. He's like, people of God, I bring you the 15 command, and he drops one of the tablets. The 10 commandments. You have cavemen that make up music. They drop a stone on someone's foot, and he's like, oh! And he's like, and then they have like this whole choir where they're all hitting each other's feet, and they're doing da 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 da.
That's
They're doing Ode to Joy or something else. I don't know.
Well written.
But it's funny. And then before that, they're just like, with cavemen, men create fire, and someone comes with a torch, and so they're trying to light the fire with the rock and a stick, and they're hitting the rock trying to make sparks to light the fire. And someone brings a torch over, so he tries to light the rock on fire, puts it back, and he's like, no, and so he throws the torch away.
Yeah.
And it's silly shit that's funny. And then you have, and then men became creative, and you have a guy making the cave painting, and he's like, and with the first artist came the first critic, and the dude lifts up his thing and pisses all over the cave art.
Yeah. Okay,
Just-
so maybe I have
it's
seen
just
that.
Funny.
Yeah.
Everything Mel Brooks did, like I said, but again, you said he has so many jokes that eventually some of them are gonna land.
Yeah, you
but
might
it's
not.
also along the side of they don't make humor based on the humor of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh,
You remember? Did you ever watch Epic Movie
Yeah.
or Disaster Movie?
Those
Well,
were,
these are you're talking about all these movies that are made by the same people I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the scary movie people, right?
These are all like offshoots of the scary movie
Yeah.
people.
Because
Like-
Scary Movie, again, some of it's pretty funny,
some of it's
some of it's Like one of my favorite gags was "This is my strong hand." That was such a good running joke.
I like the Dr. Phil in the Shack. That's my favorite joke from Scary Movie, to be honest with you.
And then
from all
the
of them.
dude in the so the guy with the triple hand is going back and forth with the guy in a wheelchair, and he's like, "Well, let me walk him."
I need to go
But-
rewatch them.
Let me stand up and be the bigger person.
But I don't think those movies have aged well, really.
I think it's so bad. It's
Or
good.
maybe we've grown out of it. I
Maybe
don't
so.
know.
Like when I was younger.
Because
Maybe.
when I was in middle school, I loved Disaster Movie, and then I watched it again, and
Oh, it's not as good as I thought it
I'm like,
was.
this is hot dookie.
Ugh.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like you can't really. I don't know if parody movies are doable nowadays. I don't know how you would fix them. But
So you have things like Young Frankenstein.
yeah, I
that-
think that could.
Yeah.
That there's not, as far as I remember, there's nothing offensive in there. You have History of the World Part 1, where they do make, there's the discussion of slavery and eunuchs and whatever, which, I mean, you could do, you would have to have the right people. I don't think anybody would be brave enough other than Mel Brooks, but they made a History of the World Part 2, and I
That's
haven't
what I'm saying.
watched it yet.
I think it's on Disney Plus or something.
I think it's on
Hulu. Yeah,
It's on one of the ones I
haven't
don't
watched
have.
it yet, but I'm wondering if how it compares to the original. That's something I'm just like I'd be wary of.
Now, because it's Mel Brooks still writing,
yeah,
I feel like it's going to be good.
but it's Mel Brooks writing now.
Yeah.
And it's not just him. It's like, what kind of jokes can you pull off and get away with now?
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about. When there is a censorship going on in society.
Because he never cared as much.
I'm not saying that it's wrong.
Didn't he do the producer?
Absolutely. That's why I thought
It's
earlier you were
springtime for Hitler and
in
Germany.
winter for London and France.
See, like you wouldn't be able to make those.
Yeah.
No,
That would
man.
be too offensive.
But see, that's my point. Is like I don't think the content itself is offensive.
It's a couple people on Twitter who would find it. Then it would get rolling that way. It would.
But he's not condoning being
No, absolutely
Of
not.
the-
No,
But
I don't
you
think
can't
anyone
joke
really
about
does.
certain
That's
things.
insane.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like you can't. There's a difference between we have to specify when something is parody, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that
Because if you would, just like South Park, you can put the label at the beginning and say this is satire and parody, and then people are still going to say, well, he made fun of this person, so he made fun of Barbara
Yeah.
Streisand, so he hates women.
Yeah, no, I've
Burn 'em
seen
at the
this.
stake.
I've seen a discussion about that where it's like they just don't like her, and then they admitted it.
Because I watched it and I was like, what is the deal with Barbara Streisand?
man,
They must have met her at one time, and she was just an
I
absolute.
think it's what it was. She was just, she was an asshole to them.
She's kind of known for that though. Apparently, like she had like there were I think, like sue Google or something because they had a picture of her house on like Google Images or something, and she didn't like
Something
that.
like
She
that.
lost apparently,
Mhm.
but it
Mega
was like
Strike
it started with that, and it kind of snowballed with like everybody thinks she's like this terrible person now. Maybe it's not even true. I don't even know.
Being
I don't
Mecha
know her.
Godzilla.
I don't know her
Mecha.
personally.
Yeah, I love
It's
Mecha
just-
Streisand.
Micah Streisand, and it's so funny.
It was just one of those like so
And then-
pretentious. that
Yeah.
Then one of the things was
everybody kind of got this idea of who she
Jesus
is.
and Friends. Jesus and the Super Friends.
That was-
Jesus Christ.
Because that was a rough episode. I don't know if you know about that one because it was a run off of just any kind of hero group, Justice League, the Avengers, but it was like kind of really directed towards kids. But it
We're
wasn't
gonna
South Park.
take every
Were you talking
religious
about the band
denomination.
episode where like
Yes, where they showed
can't
a
have
prophet.
Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got so apparently and I have the disc. So in the
Ooh,
disc,
I bet that's valuable.
so if they don't show me the disc, so it aired that one time.
Oh, so you can't even get it
No.
physically
Nope.
somewhere.
So on the disc
I wonder if you can
specifically.
find it.
You can.
You can.
I've
I found
watched
it
that
before.
shit.
Because I looked at it. I was like, there's no way. This has got to be some kind of running joke, right? Because my dad talked about it, but I didn't know if that was legit.
It's still kind of funny though to watch it censored because they just have like a black rectangle.
Yeah,
where
like moving
they
over him.
censored him out.
And I don't think they even have his lines anymore. I think Jesus walks up to the back and he's like, hey, ready to come out? You can't, it's like inaudible. And he comes out, and then it gave me chills, I'm going to be honest with you. So he comes out, and then it stops, and the episode cuts to black, and it's just white text. And it's like Comedy Central has decided not to show Muhammad. And it was just that. That's it. And it cuts to the credits. They had like 5 more minutes of the episode, too.
Well, just like the end of that, we're gonna cut to